You know that device you use every single day? Your camera. Well, we're going to pull back the curtain on it and uncover a truth that might just change how you see the world through its lens.
That's right. Every single photo you have ever seen, ever taken, is a lie. And I don't mean fake, like it's been photoshopped. I mean that the camera that took it, from the very beginning, never saw the world the way your eyes do. Not even close. So how is that even possible, right? Well, let's get into it. We're going to break down exactly how your camera builds its own unique version of reality.
See, a camera isn't just a passive observer. It's an active participant. It makes decisions. It freezes a slice of time, not a moment. It bends light on purpose. It literally guesses at colors it can't even see. It invents sharpness and imagines details that weren't quite there. So, let's start with the most basic question of all.
Okay, so the very first thing you've got to wrap your head around is this. A camera doesn't see anything, not like your eyes do. It's a machine, and its one job? To measure light. That's it. It's basically a very, very fancy light meter.
So what seems like magic is really just a four-step process. A technically insane but brutally simple four-step job. First, catch the light. Then, control it. Then, translate all that light into a bunch of numbers. And finally, turn those numbers back into an image you can actually look at. All right, let's start at the very beginning, with the physical parts of the camera. The bits and pieces that kick off this whole illusion. The components that are built to manipulate light and time. You probably think a lens is all about zooming in and out, right? But its real job, its most basic function, is to bend light with mind-boggling precision to focus it perfectly onto a sensor. And right there, that's where the first lie creeps in. Here's a wild thought. A perfect lens is a myth. In fact, engineers design them with very specific, deliberate distortions, what you might call flaws. Some lenses stretch the world at the edges, others soften the corners. And get this, the most sought-after, high-end cinema lenses, they're literally famous for their flaws. Directors pay millions for those so-called imperfections because they make the image feel more alive, more human. Okay, next up, the aperture. It's basically the camera's pupil, and you might think it's just there to control brightness, but its real power, it's control over time perception. A wide-open aperture lets in a ton of light, so you can use a super fast shutter speed and freeze motion. A narrow one forces a longer exposure, blurring motion beautifully. It's not just about light, it's about controlling how we see time itself in the picture. And you know that pro-looking blurry background that makes your subject pop? That's called bokeh. And it's not just some random effect. Every single out-of-focus point of light is literally shaped by the metal blades inside your lens's aperture. A lens with 7 blades makes 7-sided shapes. One with 9 makes them rounder. That blur is a direct fingerprint of your lens's physical DNA. And that brings us right to the shutter. Now here's a big one. Your camera never captures a moment. Ever. It captures a duration of time. Even a photo taken at a mind-boggling 1/8,000th of a second is still a slice of time, not an instant. And how it grabs that slice is kind of weird. Here's why. Most cameras today don't just snap a picture all at once. Nope. The sensor scans the scene, one line of pixels at a time, from top to bottom. Think of an office scanner moving down a page. That's basically what's happening, but incredibly fast. It's called a rolling shutter effect. And you've seen the proof of this, even if you didn't know what it was. Because the top of the picture is recorded a split second before the bottom, anything moving super fast gets weird. It's why helicopter blades look like they're made of rubber, why race cars can look slanted, and why LED lights sometimes flicker like crazy in videos. Your camera is recording a single frame at slightly different points in time. All right, now we're getting to the real heart of the matter, the sensor. This is where light turns into math. And honestly, this is where the biggest, most mind-blowing illusion of all happens. You ready for this? Camera sensors are completely 100% colorblind. They have no idea what color is. All they can see is brightness. How many little packets of light hit each pixel. That's it. So wait a minute. If the sensor is colorblind, how on earth do we get these vibrant, colorful photos? What is going on? Well, it's pretty simple actually. They cheat. They cheat with this little thing called a Bayer filter. It's a microscopic checkerboard of red, green, and blue filters sitting right on top of the sensor. But look at that ratio. It's totally biased towards green. 50% green. Why? Well, because our eyes are most sensitive to green. The camera is literally built to mimic our own human bias.
So let that sink in for a second. For every single pixel in your photo, the camera only has information for one color. It has to guess the other two by looking at its neighbors. It's an algorithm. It means your entire beautiful photo is basically a highly sophisticated mathematical guess, a reconstruction.
And this idea of guessing brings us perfectly to the cameras we all use the most, our smartphones, because they take this whole idea of reconstruction and just put it on steroids. They call it computational photography.
Okay, so when you tap that shutter button on your phone, you're not taking a picture. You're basically telling a tiny supercomputer, okay, you can stop now. It's already been capturing images before you even tapped. Then it merges a bunch of different exposures, uses AI to invent sharpness and make faces look better, and digitally scrubs away anything it thinks is an imperfection. It's not really a camera anymore, it's a data processing factory. So we've gone through how cameras bend light, play with time, and literally invent color. We've been calling these things lies, right? But now it's time to put it all together. What does this all really mean? After all of this, all these illusions, all this reconstruction, what in the world is a photograph? What are we really looking at when we see one?
And here it is, the fundamental truth. A camera never, ever captures the world as it is. It can't. What it captures is a data set, a record of how light behaved, its intensity and its color for a tiny slice of time from one single stationary point in space.
And that tells us everything. It means every photo is, by its very design, a collection of choices. It's incomplete. It only shows one tiny perspective. It's biased by the physics of the lens. It's interpreted by a color filter. And it's totally reconstructed by a computer. But maybe these aren't lies. Maybe they're the brushstrokes of the art form itself.
So the next time you pick up your camera, just remember this. You're not just freezing a moment. You're becoming an artist. You're a negotiator, working with the fundamental laws of light, time, and illusion to craft your very own piece of reality.